Okay, we are live. Yeah. Um, how are you all doing? Let's try to keep this one as friendly as possible. Because that's what I like. You know, let's keep this conversation friendly and respectful. Um, I just wrote in the title of this live stream, "It gets to you." Um, in lack of a better title, I have several things I want to talk about. Um, and I don't know. The environment on this live streaming channel is very different from the much more friendly environment on my main channel. And I think that's interesting. I am of course more opinionated here. My main channel is a Viking Age channel, and this channel here is where I talk about whatever I feel like when I do these live streams. Um, but it's a I've been doing this for a while, and it's sort of a study of human behavior, you know, and it's interesting. So just want to say hello to people here. Akimi, thank you for being a member to the channel, by the way. I have opened up uh, the chat now for all subscribers, not only the members. So for this one here. um, Hi, Carola. Guten Morgen. So I I think you know what I'll start with a study that I read. I didn't read the whole study, the whole paper, but I read the results, and I'll just say that I never trust anything that is a summary uh, anymore, because with internet these days you never know what's real and what has been exaggerated and what has been tweaked to fit a certain narrative. But this one, I kind of, I'll just say what I read there. People using ChatGPT and other AI generators, or what the hell they're called, they have a very different brain activity. If you include AI in your workflow, your brain activity, it said that your cognitive ability is not trained. And there was like this image of the parts of the brain that you use, and those who used chat gpt on a regular basis, they very, very quickly they lost the ability that they once had of their cognitive ability. Or they didn't lose it, but it was reduced, and it happened very quickly. And I suppose some of you guys have seen this maybe in the news. um, and this is something that some of us, we have been warning about this for some time now. And I've said it, like I said, don't use AI. Don't use AI. And people will reply, oh, it's just a tool. And I will modify my stance on AI, because even I use AI because it's impossible not to now. If you go on the internet, and I refuse to say Google, if you go on the internet now, AI is there to giving you search results. And I bought a new camera, and it's impossible now to do anything that involves some kind of technology without these bastards, including AI, or what they call AI. But what we are talking about, that I'm saying you should not use it, is, I believe, is called generative AI. That's when AI is actually writing something for you, you know? That's when AI is making an image for you. So I think it's different if you have AI controlling the autofocus in your camera. I think that's different because it's not taking the photo, right? So now that we know that people lose cognitive ability when they use regenerative AI on a regular basis, I think the fucking obvious here should be the following: don't use it. Don't use it, right? It's very simple. So, okay, let's just say someone has some food, um, tasty food, and it's poisonous. You should not eat it then. Let's say there is some food out there that makes you dumber. Would you eat it? No. Well, actually, that's not a good example at all. Because people eat crap these days, and they look the way they look because they eat too much, and what they eat is not really food, the way I see it. But um, it's like I feel like I'm the one of the very, very few people left on this planet saying, don't use regenerative AI. Don't use it. And people will not listen. But there will be a time in the future when those of us who refuse to use regenerative AI, we will have a cognitive ability far superior to those who just use use regenerative AI just in their on a daily basis. I'm just saying this now because it's obvious now, right? It's obvious. So it's like you can give me fringe examples here of like your brother is a coder and use Claude AI. Okay, that's good for him, but you can't. Uh, okay, if the research is really telling us, as is suggested in these news articles, that using regenerative AI on a daily or on a regular basis makes you dumber, if that is true, which it probably is, you can make your own conclusions. And you can use a regenerative AI if you want to, of course, and it will make you more dumb. It will. It's intellectual laziness, but people don't care about that these days because you see it all the time. Everyone's an expert now, and I see it in the comment section. And this is sort of the problem because we used to have a system that included some gatekeeping. What I mean by that is that nobody would listen to you before social media. Nobody would listen to you. If you, let's say you're, let's say you are a, I don't know, I don't know, you fix cars, or you're a tailor, or you're whatever, and you have very strong. Suddenly, one day, you have very strong opinions about astrophysics, right? The makeup of the universe. Nobody would listen to you. Why would they? I mean, I don't know much about how the universe functions. I don't know. How would I know? I don't have any education in that field. I'm an author. So it's like, but now anyone can claim to be an expert on these things. That's why we have people now who actually believe that the earth is flat. It is embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. In this news article, actually, I read three. It said also that with this AI being included in everything, it creates echo chambers as well. In that way, it creates it works in much the same way as social media algorithms. So you're not getting challenged. Your intellect is not getting challenged. But you know what? Most people, they don't want that. Most people, they just want to have their feelings confirmed. And they call that facts. But it's just feelings. It's just confirmation of feelings. Um, so, yeah, by the way, just a little bit of a sidetrack here, if you will. I saw a woman. And what is it with these? You know what? I should not watch social media because what the hell is it with these people who just lie there fucking lazy in their bed? And this annoys me. They're just lying there in their bed, looking at their fucking smartphone, recording, and they're playing something that someone else is making, and that's their reaction video. Now, I hate reaction videos to start with, but just lying there, you're not even you're too lazy to get up from bed. Fucking hell, what is this? So there was this man who was lying there in bed, and out at the side there in this stupid vertical format, a woman was claiming to be an expert on. No, a woman was reacting to another videos. This was a lazy man in a bed reacting to a reaction video. You couldn't make this shit up. Excuse my language. But anyway, so the woman reacting to the first woman, it gets complicated, I know. So let's at the beginning here. So a young girl was saying something like, why is it cultural appropriation to have, these braids on the side here when it was the Vikings that invented them? Okay. And this other woman reacting to that, she first had this long introduction of her being Icelandic and being a direct descendant of Snorre Sturlason. Um, and she claimed that he wrote the Eddas. I wouldn't put it that way. He, he, he didn't make them up, but anyway, that's not the point here. And she said also that she was an expert on the Viking Age because of her forefather way back was Snorre Sturlason. By the way, that doesn't make you an expert. And she said that nobody, no Vikings ever had braids in their hair like that. And this black man lying in bed reacting to the reaction video, he was nodding like that. So yeah, and that goes with the whole idea that, and I hate to say this because I hate the terms white people. They don't have any culture, that narrative. We don't have anything that comes from us. We've stolen everything, and all of that. But that's not the point here. Where am I going with this? Yeah. So this woman. Okay. So let's just try to touch the ground. Get some connection with reality here. Um, you're talking about a lot of people through several centuries in many different countries around basically the Baltic and the North Sea. And you're saying that nobody ever braided their hair like that. Probably someone did. Was it like a significant part of a characteristic of their culture? No. Um, but someone probably did at some time, you know? Um, so it's like this absolutism that I don't like that. I really don't like it. Um, Nobody ever did. No, that's you, you, you can't really say that. Someone probably did at some point. And this is what I'm trying to get to here. It's the absolutism um, that people get into. The lack of understanding that it's not black and white. It's not good or bad, black, evil, good. It's more like areas, shades of gray, if you will. That's reality. But you lose that when you do not do the studying. You lose that if your cognitive ability is diminished, as it will be, as we know now, by using regenerative AI on a regular basis. So, and I see it all the time in the comments on this channel, and it's like if I get into Christianity, always get a lot of hate. Oh, these people are so hateful. What is it about Christianity that attracts people with so much hate in them? I don't know, but that seems to be a thing. Um, there was a guy, I think he was born in, is it Bethlehem, something like that, and he had kind of walked around in sandals, and he said that you shouldn't be so hateful, be more inclusive to people who are not like you, and all of that. But we don't have to think about that. We don't have to mention that. It's much more easy and rewarding to just spew out hate towards people who are not Christians, isn't it? But anyway, um, yeah, I'm touching upon several topics here. So, it gets to you after a little while, and you get tired of the whole thing. And when if you're on YouTube for some time, and I started YouTube before they started to shrink the channels, before they like they do now, of course. And I still have, a lot of people following these live streams, commenting on them and so on. And um, Paddy is there, says Christianity built Europe. Yes, we know that you think that, Paddy. We have seen it before coming from you. Yeah. Um, so it's like it gets to you after a while, and you realize that you can't change people, and you can't make people think. You can't make people get into a habit of reading and studying. And if you try to fight against stupidity, I think you're going to lose, because here's how I see this, if you build a structure out in the woods, like a shelter, for instance. Let's say you come back to the shelter a weekend every month just to hang out there and have a campfire and so on. What you will see is that nature is continuously trying to tear that shelter down. So the sticks that you used, the branches to build the shelter, would start to rot, Um, if you cover it with spruce branches, um, they will become, dry and not uh, as effective against the rain anymore, and so on and so on. So nature is always trying to bring your structure or whatever you built back to nature. Um, and I think maybe humans are a bit like that, because not that was not a good example, because I love nature, but this, let's call it enlightenment. Enlightenment. That's that's when you, well, if you've studied history, the time of enlightenment. You know that. So basically, you had the introduction of Christianity. It sparked the Dark Ages. It was a setback, and then you had basically after that an area of an enlightenment, right? Let's call it enlightenment, and that led to, or it developed into, the kind of society that we have now. But now it seems like we are seeing that humans are kind of, right now it seems like we are like that structure being reclaimed by nature, and we're going back to sort of the Dark Ages. Um, and ironically, I think that it's the much of it has to do with access to information, isn't it? Ironic. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because we are right in the middle of it, and we don't see the big. We don't see the when you're right in the middle of it, right? It's difficult to see if this is part of a bigger picture, or if it's just something happening right now, and I don't know. Um, is this making any sense to you guys? Um, I hope so. Uh, so okay, yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that I see, of course, in the comments here, I see that people get challenged intellectually, and they don't like that. So they respond with hate, and younger people will typically say, "Oh, you're a boomer. You don't understand what's going on," and all of that. I saw one of those just before I logged onto here, which is okay. It's kind of it's almost cute in its naivety, but um, yeah, Paddy, I'm certainly not going to read that book with that title. So yeah, okay. Stealth mode, yeah. Well, you are you have been here a lot, and I know that you're not one of those people. You're writing that you do not mind being challenged intellectually. It's fun, yeah. But you are, I think, one of the exceptions, and you are like we should be, you know. So um, let's see. Paddy, why not? It will challenge you. I I I have uh, I know that by the title I know it's going to be not a good book, because the title is a lie. And I have many other books that I need to read. I have so many books I need to read. It stresses me out, actually. So yeah. Um Let's see. Um, Positivity says maybe you need to change who you hang out with if you're constantly angry with people. You is a difficult word for a Norwegian. It's so general. Are you talking about me or people in general? I don't hang out with people. I spend most of my time alone. So, yeah. Um, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Stony Run says the perfection and complexity of our universe mathematically implies intelligent design by a creator. I know that argument, and several physicists argue against that, and they can use math to argue against that. Um, but the interesting part here, I think, is well, that is of course that is a very interesting discussion. I my math skills are not at all at the level where I can mathematically argue against or for such a statement. But just for the sake of the argument, so to speak, if we assume that the universe was either sparked by an entity or uh, not only sparked but also designed by an entity, something, what religious people do is that they, what you call when children play and they, I don't know if they do that now, but when you jump, leapfrog, leapfrog, is that what you say? They just skip a part there because they have, okay, let's say that this universe was created or even designed by something, you know, then they say, oh, it must be my God. But you haven't proven, if even if that was true, my argument there that it must have been designed by something, it doesn't prove that your God is the true God. Could be Shiva. Well, not Shiva, because Shiva is destructive. But you get what I'm saying here. That's not a proof of Christianity or a God. It could be something completely different. Um, well, actually, if that is true, then we are saying that we could call it a God, I guess, but it doesn't prove Christianity or Islam or Hinduism or anything. It's just, if it was true, it proves that there is an entity, right? Doesn't prove Christianity, doesn't prove Islam, doesn't prove that it was Odin who made us human beings. Doesn't prove any of those. But of course, that's what you want, and you want the religion that you grew up with, that kind of belongs to your culture. You want that to be the true one, you know. So yeah. But anyway, but Sarah says that's why faith is important. Well, I would say that's why it, you know, so the logic, it doesn't add up. Then you just add some faith there. That's not how you should do it, you know. But anyway, um, So yeah, but you all have divine divine connection with this. You all know the truth. This is why we have wars, right? Because Muslims will say the same. Well, actually, you're believing in the same God as the Muslims and Jews, but anyway, you all claim to have the truth, and you can't prove it, but it's because you have seen it, you have faith, and so on. Well, you know what? I have faith in the weather, that it will be, it's raining now, that it will be better tomorrow. I don't know, but I have faith. I hope that it will be better. So it's like, oh, um, yeah, this is an intellectual disruption. It's a faith like that. Got to have faith. No, I don't got to have faith. If you need to add faith where your logic and your reasoning doesn't add up, you should you need to realize that there's something wrong there. You know, this is the intellectual disruption that I'm actually talking about. It's an example of that. So you know what? I know a couple of Christians. One is a priest. They are full of doubt. And I would say that it's actually the doubt that makes them much better people than other people of their religion. It makes them much less judgmental of people who are not like them. So, yeah, it's the people who say that, oh, we have faith, like the fucking bastards surrounding Trump now. I mean, it's a cult, right? Um, they all raise their hands in the air and they talk about their faith as if that matters. I have faith too. It's not yours. You have no respect for that. And you shouldn't. I don't I don't expect anyone to have any respect for my faith. I'm not asking for that. So so anyway, um, yeah, this is why we have wars. This is why bombs are being dropped on Iran, or that's the reason why Iran started building nuclear bombs to start with, which I think that they are doing. Um, that's the reason why the Jews in Israel are claiming that they are the chosen people. And because they are the chosen people, they have the right to exterminate Muslims in Gaza. You see what's going on here? Stop talking about that fucking faith. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help the world. What is going to help you and what is going to help the world is, and you can call me a boomer, you can call me whatever the hell you want. What is going to help the world is, I'll just say the word, love. Yes, love for your fellow human beings, love for animals, love for nature. And you may not like that, you know. And I've said many times that, if Jesus was here, if Jesus returned now, no, we don't know for sure. And here's another one. I'm going to get so much hate for this live stream. I haven't seen any archaeological and proof that, the Jesus of Bible was ever a real person. Um, but anyway, if he was and he returned, he would have been seen as someone very woke, because he would be someone accepting of people different from himself. And I can say that because as someone who has read, I haven't read the whole Bible, all of the texts there, but I've read a lot of it, and yeah. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for the figure of Jesus, so to speak, and I do. But yeah, no, I don't have Marian. I don't have to define love. I think if you know love, if you have experienced love, you know what it is. So, um, yeah, I. I think when it comes to lots of people are asking about USA and Iran, and the thing is, I don't. I have never been to Iran. And I think it's like I've been to Ukraine and I've been to Russia, so I felt that I could kind of talk a little bit about it, um, and not saying I'm an expert on any of those countries or the culture there. Not saying that, but Iran is. I know very little about Iran. I know, of course, the revolution there and how they went back. Well, that's the Dark Ages, right? Well, actually, not because they also do a lot of research. They are scientific, not a superpower, but obviously, but while they are trying to keep people down, they are also at the forefront of, like certain technologies. But um, I honestly don't know if it was the right thing to do or not, to bomb those nuclear facilities. I don't know. It seems at the moment it seems the timing is more interesting than the act itself, and it's so the timeline is interesting because if I got it right, so first you had the USA and Iran in talks, communication that would maybe have or limited the construction or stop the construction of nuclear warheads. I don't know, but that seems to have been the case. But then, of course, Israel um, got into the whole thing, and Iran being a supporter of the terrorists Hamas and I believe also Hezbollah. So I get tired of the whole thing. So if Israel had kept themselves out of this, we wouldn't have had this situation, I believe. But again, I'm not going to act as an expert on that at all. I'm just saying that the timeline is interesting, and I do think that the government in Israel is extremely hateful, extremely warlike. Um, so yeah, it's just difficult now. It's difficult because I, I'm I prefer to know more before I have strong opinions about these things. So yeah, so AM, did your friend ever find their dog that was missing? You made a video about the dog. No, they didn't find it. We didn't find it. That's a long time ago now. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's a dangerous regime, the one in Israel. But so is the one in Iran. I would say they are religious fundamentalists. And I think religion should stay the fuck out of a government. So, yeah. Um, I actually know people from Iran who fled, um, and they hate the regime there, you know. So, and I must say that, just before this whole thing started, Iran they extended, if that's the word, um, this law that forbids you to walk your dog. So I think it was only in Tehran, and then they expanded it to other cities. So because they believe that dogs are unclean. But the thing is that Iranians, I excuse my, I was reading something here. The people in Iran, they are not okay with the regime, and many of them have dogs now. I guess it's not that common, but more and more people have gotten dogs. They don't see dogs as unclean, and they have dogs, and suddenly they are not allowed to walk their dog because of this stupid new law. You know, and then what do you do? So yeah, my prediction when it comes to Iran, completely uneducated on the topic, I would say, but my guess is that Iran would have this moving forward, somewhat silent revolution where people just reclaim their freedom. It's said that if you go to Tehran now, you can see women without headscarves. They don't care anymore, and the so-called moral police, they have kind of given up. That's at least what I've heard. Um, so yeah, Carola, that's a very good point. You're saying that if the Iranians can rebuild their peaceful country again, it could hopefully stabilize the whole region. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's extremely courageous of these women to walk around without their headscarves, and of course, I think we all remember the protests. I mean, these women protesting, and this one woman, she was, well, basically killed in prison. For what? For just not going along with the stupid and extremely immoral laws of that country. Um, hi, there's Saur. Do you have a new nickname now? Uh, Saur. I can't pronounce it. Is it Irish? Like Gaelic? Um, yeah. I read somewhere years ago that Iranian refugees or immigrants in the West are the least religious people of all ethnic groups. I don't know. That's just something I read. Um, Let's see. Yeah, well, I agree. Iranian people are wonderful people. Yeah. Um, let's see. uh, who's going to liberate Iran? As someone said there, it kind of needs to come from within. I think because what you're looking at is basically a majority. Isn't it like the majority of people in Iran are Persians, and they would have to kind of reclaim the Persian culture and get rid of the Muslim fundamentalism there and bring the country back to what it used to be. We have all seen the photos of women in bikinis and so on in Iran. Um, so that would be the way to go, I believe. And as Carola, I believe, said, is if Iran could become a more open country with a more if they could get rid of the religion, get the religion out of the government, and become a more open country with human rights, then it would stabilize the whole region around it, uh, possibly. Oh, it's only we've all said only 50% of Persians. Yeah, as I said, I'm not an expert on that area at all. Paddy says women in bikinis is evil. Okay. um, so um, uh, let's see here. Yeah, Stony Run says religion is a human right, be it misguided or not. Well, I guess it's in the definition of human rights um, by the United Nations, at least. But it's not like just because you call a collection of thoughts and ideas a religion doesn't mean that it should be respected more than other ideas, I think. But basically, if Iran could get back to being a more open country with, of course, they as far as I know, they never had real democracy. But if it could become an open country, a democracy, human rights, and so on, I think it would stabilize the whole area. Um, so, yes, good point there, Carola. At this point, I think Paddy is a bit of a ironic troll here. I don't think you. I think you're just trolling us a little bit. You're saying promiscuity leads to destruction. Well, uh, okay. So, yeah. Well, I am one of those people who actually like women in bikinis. I'm a big fan. Um, that being said, um, okay. Um, Uval agrees. We love women in bikinis. Yes. um, Women in bikinis selling cheese sticks wrapped in bacon. Canadian Spider-Man. Yes, good idea there. Actually, go. We could. That's a business idea, right? Right at the border between Israel and Gaza, a uh, bacon sandwich food truck or something like that. That would be awesome. Yeah. Um, Green-eyed lady. That's interesting. Someone here, Patrick Bet David, was born in Iran. He said he does not think the Crown Prince Reza wants the job of taking over until elections are held. Um, that's interesting. It's like the idea of okay, the idea of having a royal family. I'm against it. I have to say that, but there is a good argument for it, actually, in a way, because you when you have a royal family to kind of symbolize and strengthen your national identity, but they don't make any decisions. They're just there for to be symbols of your national identity, and to kind of um and this is the argument in, like, Norway. We have a royal family here, but the argument is that everyone can have that in common. Oh, we love the royal family. I don't, but that's the idea. And so you could say that maybe in Iran they could reintroduce the royal family there, but they would not be. They would just be. There's a word for it, but they would not make any decisions. They would just be symbolic figures there. And then you have a democracy, where you have political parties representing the people who vote for them. And I think that could be a good arrangement for Iran, I think. Um, so, but now I think also, one of the effects, of the bombing of so far these three nuclear facilities is that it becomes much easier for the regime in Iran to get support among the people. Um, because, and here's the thing, the USA and the West is a minority in the world, and the majority of the world does not look upon us as we do. And we tend to think that, oh, we are the good guys. But I would argue that most of the world does not look at, especially the USA, as the good guys. They look upon the USA as warlike and imperialist. Not saying that's true or untrue, it's just probably the case that if you go to, for instance, Iran, now at least they okay, so the USA is bombing us. That's going to create more, not less, support for the regime. um, in my mind. That's my opinion, at least. Might be wrong, but that's my opinion. So, um, let's see. Uh, um, I do think, Paddy, that you're being have some joy in being an ironic troll here, because I've seen it before. So yeah, I get it. It's a little bit funny, but also not. It's funny once or twice, but not like when you keep repeating it. So yeah. Uh, let's see here. Okay. I, I I doubt that these bombs have kind of destroyed all the important nuclear facilities in Iran. Kind of find it a little bit hard to believe, but then again, um, I don't know. How would I know? I don't think anyone here in the chat are informed and educated enough to know for certain about that. Um, so, yeah. And there's another thing here that it's like I've been watching the news about this. You know, I always do that with a little bit of like, it's not what you hear in the news as on social media and alternative media. It's never like the whole truth, but nevertheless, um, I sat there and I was thinking they were discussing whether this would stop Iran from having nuclear weapons or developing nuclear weapons. And I was like thinking, does it matter that much? I mean, isn't it obvious that it's actually not that important? Why? Because Iran's ally in the north is Russia. And Russia could send some bombs, nuclear bombs. They could probably even move them into Iran. That would probably be caught by satellite images, and China, of course, yes, China, Pakistan. It's like it's not that. This is how we tend to think that we are the world here in the West and the USA. We are the world. No, we're just a minority, and we are surrounded by big, big nations where they see things differently. Big nations where they don't really have a democracy. So you have regimes and with their interests that they will protect and so on. Yeah. So oh yeah, grasslands, yes. North Korea, of course. Yeah. um, Yeah, Sawyer's RLP says, I'm not too well read on bunker busters, but I'm not expecting too much of typical bomb damage if the explosions were underground. Yeah, I read that these bombs, one of them can blast through 60 meters of concrete. And I don't know, but I would imagine that those nuclear facilities are further down into the mountain. So, um, I don't know. I don't know how these things work. Um, and also, it needs to be said. I just want to mention it that just asking. I'm just asking the question: have we heard this statement before? Like the president of the USA saying that, oh, they are developing or they have nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, so we have to take them out. Have we heard it before? I'm not doubting that Iran were doing that or is doing that, but I mean, it. Have we heard it before? And then what happened? You know, uh, seen before. It's a classic, says Grasslands. Yeah, Saddam. Um, Saddam is the keyword there. Mm. Weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. Um, Steve likes gummy bears, says, is it about these bombs that it essentially drills down, then detonates? Okay. Yeah, I know nothing about these weapons, but yeah, I guess they know what they're doing, and when they do drop these bombs, then it would be like they 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 probably do what they are supposed to do. Um, so okay, okay. I'm hearing the wind in the trees now, and it's like this midsummer mood here. It's warm through the nights, and here we are talking about wars in countries far away. It's crazy. Um, so yeah, I um I want to recommend a video for you guys. My latest video on the main channel. Link to in the video description. Um, Viking childhood. What was childhood like in the Viking age? And yeah, I am much happier with that kind of content. Of course, it goes hand in hand with my writing as a historical novelist, but yeah, I'm very talking about the main channel now, and I'm very happy that I got back to making Viking videos, which I always enjoyed doing on my main channel there. Very, very happy about that. Um, yeah. Okay. Not so warm in British Columbia. Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I haven't been to the shelter next to the river lately. No. But okay. That's all for now. Have a wonderful day or night, and we will talk later on. Yeah, go and check out the video. Childhood in the Viking Age. What was that like? You know? Okay. Bye bye.